All right, we are live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Illinois Green Party series. Hello, Anna. My name is David Rych. I'm your host. Tonight we have a recurring guest and our production manager of sorts behind the scenes quite a bit on the show, Anna Schiefelbein. Anna, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So today we're going to just talk about, the recent elections, Green Party sort of strategies concerning elections, limitations, obstacles thereof, and we've talked about these things before for sure in different contexts. And I'll just start off by saying how frustrating it is to live in a state and a society, a political system that really, the top two parties really go out of their way to suppress any other parties. And in the definition of a democracy, that's not okay. But we have to fight them anyway because they have all the power. Anyway, so why don't you go ahead and take it wherever you want to start, Anna, is fine.
Yeah, well, I'll just start with an introduction of myself. My name is Anna Schiefelbein. I'm also a co-chair of the Illinois Green Party. And I've been honored to work with David Rych over here for, a year and a half now on the
I know, is
Illinois
that
Green
crazy?
Party series. And it's nice to get that airspace out there so we can talk about these issues. We
Yeah.
can discuss green-friendly topics and as David was mentioning, the ballot access in Illinois, our friends here in Illinois, we really need help with ballot access. But I want to do a little rundown of 2022. We had 4 petitioning sessions this year. It's been quite a big year for us. The first one that we did was some locals did ballot questions on their township. So it's just a referendum question. It was at the April township meetings. There is a few locals that were involved with it, and they were able to come up with their own questions, present it to the township meeting, get them passed, and then those questions then were on the ballot. And so I like to talk about some of those. We'll start with the one that I worked on in Lisle Township, and the Lisle Township question that was presented was about the priority date, about Illinois and its political subdivision setting a priority date of January 1st, 2030 for zero carbon emissions, and to also set the commercial regulations with that same priority date of January 1st, 2030. Because to me, 2045, so far in the future, we can begin to work on it now, but really when the end
Well,
goal
if
is
2030 deadline doesn't happen, 2045 doesn't mean anything.
right. Exactly. If
Like
we
it's
need
it's
to start
literally it's
talking
a
about it
two-step
now.
process that they're looking at, two major steps. Okay, but so yeah,
Right. Yeah, we just put it on the back burner and maybe 2043 will be like, hey.
maybe we can get to this. Okay, yeah.
Right. And so about the last time I looked at the results, about 60% of the Lisle Township voters who did vote in this last election on that agreed that we should be setting that priority
I,
date of
I was
January
hoping it'd be more than 60%. I mean, at least it's more than 50. That's good for
1st.
political reasons, for voting reasons, but 40% didn't agree.
40% did not agree.
Okay.
And some people don't, and that's okay. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. And that just means also for me, more education. I wish the newspapers could be a little bit more involved on
For sure.
teaching us about water and why water is going to be a scarce resource and what we can be doing about that. But that's not going to happen, not in 2022, that I can foretell.
Not in the next 2 weeks, no.
But I can hope. I can hope. So that was for Lisle Township. So we got that passed again. It's just a referendum. It's non-binding, but it's still a good measure of where the people are at in Lisle Township in regards to, are they even concerned about zero carbon emissions, let alone setting a priority date for it. So that was nice that we got that through the process and through to the ballot. Peoria local, they had a question in regards to nonpartisan redistricting. And so their question also got on the ballot and also was passed favorably as well. And so that's something that, again, we can bring to our legislators and say, hey, the people in Peoria, they would like to have a redistricting that's nonpartisan.
I think anybody besides politicians would like that.
Well,
because the politicians are the one that do the gerrymandering that is a way of rigging the elections in their favor. That's why they don't get rid of it. But okay, yes, no, I agree. Yeah, I mean, that crap's got to go, no doubt. Okay.
Yeah, and politicians is a loose term too, because we do have green politicians and independents, and so the major two corporate party system really, it's not in their advantage, and particularly here in Illinois, we have the Democrats being the majority, and I'm not sure. I don't think that they would like the nonpartisan redistricting, and I hope that that can be something that they can look at next year, and say, hey, fair should be fair, and we should take away the politics of it, really, and do a nonpartisan redistricting. I know Iowa, they have a system where it's nonpartisan. So.
Oh, really? Well, that's cool. Well, they also have like 4 people that live in the entire state. But,
well,
I'm just being silly, but I mean, Illinois is just a very popular, really divisive state because south of Chicago and north of Chicago and up north are not the same characteristics of people. They're just not the same demographics. There's a bunch of people that Darren Bailey, the guy who ran against Pritzker this last election, he was actually a part of, if not the founder of. And I actually had one of their members on my radio show before. Some movement, I don't remember the name, but they want to secede from the state of Illinois. They want Southern Illinois to be its own state because they're tired of like Chicago running the entire.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, like I don't think. And some people, I think people kind of laugh at that stuff now, but they're not kidding around. And they got lots of people signing up for it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, they are very different, northern and below 80, basically.
Yeah, that's actually
is a different culture.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's see. Edwardsville, I think it was Edwardsville, had the healthcare for all question. So it was for if the government should provide healthcare for all, and that passed.
Edwardsville, meaning
I think it was like the township of Edwardsville
would actually provide its citizens.
No. Again, just a question on the ballot.
Oh, I see. Okay, just to kind of get an idea. Okay,
well, just to get a public.
That's another no-brainer. I mean, I don't know what the hell the problem people are. Why people are so upset about it.
Yeah, to me the problem is, well, in 2020 we had David Black as a candidate for the U.S. Senate, and he was a great healthcare for all candidate. In fact, he was one out of the 5 candidates. He was the only candidate out of the 5 candidates who wanted healthcare for all. And so we had the voters chose Durbin that year. And so to me, if you want healthcare for all, vote for a healthcare for all candidate. Support a healthcare for all candidate. Knock on doors for a healthcare for all candidate.
That's part of the difficulty is, individual candidates come with a whole spectrum of ideas, ideologies, and beliefs on specific issues, which is fine. I don't know how else it could be. But let's say, most people are kind of like single issue voters or 2 issue voters. And I think that you got to really get a bigger understanding of each candidate before you nix one and, advocate for another. Because some people there was who was it? I don't remember what the guy's name was. He was a Democrat. You know what? Forget it. I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
Who?
It's gonna take me too long to remember. I'm like, I could see the memory fading to the back of my head as I'm looking at it. Okay, so go ahead. If it goes back before the end of the show, I'll bring it up again.
Okay, that sounds good. So that was our like the beginning of the year. We had those questions. There was a whole process. We did a workshop on it at one of our conventions, and some of the people in 2012, they had done some move to amend township questions. And so we had their experience and expertise to rely on. So it's something that we might, do again, not next year, but maybe in 2024, in the beginning of 2024, just to get a public poll out there to push these issues out there, to educate our locals and have our locals educate their neighbors, their friends, their family, and get these ideas presented out there. And plus, to me, it's make it more tangible, more ownership for that person. Like, you can make a change. One person can make a change. If there's 1,000 people who are marching, each and every person had to make that decision to go out there. And so each person, has, counts. And so just little by little building the locals. It was nice to do that in 2022. But we'll talk about the big fish, though. We'll talk about the midterms. We'll talk about we had the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District candidates, Tennille Jackson and Mark Buechner. They were out. They did campaigning. We got them on the ballot. Unfortunately, we didn't have the numbers, and the corporate party still won, but we still retained our established status for the MWRD district, which covers most of Cook County minus a little bit of Barrington Township and a little bit of another township, but most of Cook County is covered by that MWRD district. And we were able to build more of the party out in Cook. There are still some appointments out there that could be made for ward committee people. I think we can still do stuff with some township appointments as well. So, reach out to us. We'll put out our email address out here. Reach out to us if you're in Cook and look into support greens, learn more about greens. To me, the green is the future. We need to roll away from thinking that accepting corporate contributions by elected officials is okay. It's not okay. It's just taking away from the power of the people. And each cycle, it gets harder and harder. So we need to all hands on deck to make sure that we have a viable future on this planet. Things are going to get serious soon in regards to water, at least water, if not food and air as well. So
water shortages are already happening in the Southwest in this country, folks. The great old U.S. of A. Okay, this isn't like a Middle Eastern third world country kind of problem. It's that too. But I mean, yeah, no.
Yeah, they're estimating. I believe it was by 2030, 700 million people are going to, throughout the globe, is going to have some kind of water insecurity.
Did you hear about the oil spillage in Wichita? I just heard it today. I watched Democracy Now! Every day. It's got like a 10-minute little clip of like the summary, and I was like, what? Like another oil spill that polluted the freshwater river right there.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah. I didn't post I told you so out there on Facebook.
You did or didn't?
I did it, but I felt that.
I gotta be honest. Like I think I've told you this before, and I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but like I really get concerned that people aren't gonna just keep putting up with this stuff. Like that's one of the dangers of like the predictions of what are to come when you start messing with like natural resources like water and food and air and shit stuff. Sorry.
Edit.
People stop putting up with it and do things that I would prefer them not to do. But what do you expect them to do when survival is the case? Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, people don't move, or and rightfully so. They don't. It's not in their heart to do anything, and when it's not personable to them.
Right.
Just like if a mom has a baby with a rare disease, never heard of that. Well, in a matter of months, she's going to be an expert. So
Sure.
it's not personable to you until it happens to you. It happens until your town doesn't have water, until your town, your babies don't have the items needed to plain old survive on
Yeah,
this.
I mean, like I'm thinking now, like if I have any, like why just if I have any water, backup water in the house, and I really don't, like if I wake up one day and I turn on the faucet and there's no water, what do I do? I don't know.
Right.
You
What
know,
is your town? Yeah, what's your town going
I got
to?
one of those life
Yeah.
sprouts that I can like maybe I can just go drink out of the creeks. That's cool. Everybody should get one of those. Those are cool.
We do have one of those, and actually for Christmas, I usually get emergency gifts from my husband. I got an emergency radio one year.
I love
got
that. No,
water
that's
filter
great. I mean,
items.
it's a little dark, but it's cool, and it's. I mean, like I'm building a small little supply of stuff too, like kind of constructing slowly but surely a bug out bag, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Like a sort of like 72, whatever, 48-hour survival kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I buy like I got like these like 3,000 calorie energy bars and that kind of thing, and stuff like that. I was eyeing the generic tuna the other day for like 69 cents a can. I'm like, I should buy like $100 of this stuff. So, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, yeah, so for 2022, we didn't have a lot of other candidates for the midterms. I just finished petitioning in the near end of petitioning for village trustee for the village of Woodridge. So I'll be submitting that
Oh, cool.
very soon. The filing period just opened up today.
Wait, you
So
personally are going to be running for that?
correct.
Oh,
I'm running it as an independent.
okay. Well, I mean, the local elections, I mean, yeah, very, very, very few candidates run under a party flag. Very. I remember doing, kind of counting in the numbers one night at the radio station, not this election, but like 2 years ago. And we had a list of all the, like, hundreds upon hundreds of different offices being run for by that point. There was one out of the hundreds that said, like, Democrat or Republican. I think it said Democrat. One. Everything else was independent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good strategy. Not being a political strategy expert by any stretch, but for third parties, libertarian, green parties, whomever, to get into local offices and make their characteristics of their agenda known. Like Peter Schwartzman in Galesburg, he didn't run as a Green Party member. I think very few people actually know that he is. Maybe more so now, but the fact that he got in there and he's turning the town green, in all sorts of different ways, and people are going to be looking at that and be like, "Oh, this is great. Oh, by the way, I'm a Green Party member." Like, "Oh, interesting." Maybe I should look at that because this is really working out for me. I don't know. I'm just, again, who knows?
Yeah, people, I canvass and I tell people, I'm green, and people are usually fine with that. But they want something different. They want something. They don't want what we have right now. They want something.
No, they do, and they like I know, and it's this. It's like this self-fulfilling prophecy, or everybody's talking themselves out because I think individuals are afraid to make that move to a third party because they're afraid not enough other people will do it, so it won't count. They want their voice to be heard and to count, and rightfully so. I get that. But like if like they all just decided in one election, okay, like 1,000 of us are going to go ahead and vote green, like that's it, okay, we're done. It would have an actual impact and effect on politics. 100% it would, but it's really getting to that point of like, not fearing the fact that you don't have to wait for everybody else to do it. You can just do it yourself, and then that might roll, snowball, if you will.
Yeah. Be the one. And if another one does it and another one doesn't, that's how the change happens is people hang up their hats and say enough is enough. I'm going to walk a non-corporate walk, and we're going to be behind the power of the people 100% and commit to that and put your heart and your mind into it. And there's so much we can achieve out there. But I do see people, I hear it probably daily, if not more than once a day sometimes, is, oh, but it's just not enough, but to me, where else are you going to go? You're going to go with the corporate party and just
The warmongers.
be part of that and be
Tulsi Gabbard just quit the
proud.
Democratic Party. What's her name? Seaman, whatever. Quit the party. And they're running as independents right now. But yeah, they're trying. Like Tulsi Gabbard even said, that the Democratic Party is run by warmongers. That was one of our many lists of complaints as why she left the party. I don't know. Should
So,
we read her?
you mentioned that, and I would like to say I'm surprised. I was surprised and not surprised at the same time, if that's possible.
Logically, it's not, but go ahead.
It's not.
That's a perfect example of a contradiction, but go ahead.
But maybe I was first surprised, and then immediately I was not surprised.
As long as it's not simultaneous, that's fine. Yeah.
But I was looking at the results of when the House passed the $858 billion defense bill for the military bill. Yeah, and it was so similar. It was. I'd have to look it up for really to be quoted, but I think it was like 138 of Democrats said yes and 137 of Republicans said yes, and the no's was it 45 Democrats said no and 35 Republicans said no. So it was
pretty damn parallel.
Very, very close. Democrats were still slightly better than the Republicans. So it's like breaking news, status quo. Happens again. Yeah. So to me, like when people are like, "Oh, well, they're different," I'm like, "Well," and I think
they're not.
That's why I was like surprised to see such similar numbers just thrown in my face. It's all over the news, but at the same time, not or immediately after, just kind of not be surprised that those were the numbers. Yeah. And so to me, that's not change. Change is not with the two parties. They're just being very much almost toe to toe in regards to spending $858 billion of our tax-paying money.
Yeah, no, it's insane. No, it's crazy. I'm going to have Matthew Ho on again because he worked for the Pentagon. And he knows all about this. He actually left the Pentagon over. Well, basically, the military's role in Afghanistan specifically, but there's a long list of reasons why, and that's part of it. Very, very informed on that subject. So I'll reach out to him tomorrow. Yeah, no, it's crazy how much money we spend on our military. We're buying more of those stealth bombers, and they're like if you just took the money from one stealth bomber, I think they're buying like 15 or something. Instead of you bought like 14 and took the money that you would have spent, you could probably like fix like every educational problem in the country.
I'm more concerned about the Flint and Jackson.
Okay, yeah, I mean
they were saying about $2 billion each. So we could have bought just a little bit less of military, just $4 billion less of military, and actually fixed water in Jackson for their water.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And then the nuclear proliferation too. I mean, what's the number you can just American nukes can blow up the world like 15 times and something like isn't once enough?
None, yeah.
None be okay. Yeah, I mean it's just the arms race was absolutely pathetic, just pathetic. I also want to draw attention, folks, to the fact that these are people doing this. So, I know the government likes to treat itself as like some sort of like abstract entity. It's not. It's people making decisions. Just so you know.
Yeah.
So they're morally accountable. Is my point. Okay. So anyway.
Well, let's talk about 2023 because we're hoping 2023 is going to be really busy and really productive as well at the same time. We're looking to do ranked choice voting and equal ballot access as two of our main issues, and to push that with we want the whole kit and caboodle. We want the phone banking, we want events, we want to be talking about it, and we want to be pushing this in the legislature. In the Illinois legislature for Illinois to have ranked choice voting and equal ballot access. So I'll just go into ranked choice voting, which a lot of people go into RCV, just in case somebody hasn't hasn't heard that before. I love to teach people. And so that ranked choice voting is, instead of just choosing one, if there's 3 candidates on the ballot, you would choose 1, 2, and you would have the ability to choose 1, 2, and 3 as your choices. And the ones have to have a majority. If one does not have a majority, they'll go through the 2s and the 3s and whoever else is on there. If still nobody yet has majority, it goes back to the people.
Right.
So Evanston just passed this for their town.
Evanston's like killing it, man. They're crushing it on all sorts of reparations, ranked choice voting. I never knew. I was born in Evanston. I never knew it was such an awesome town.
Yeah, they're doing really good in Evanston, and I know Oak Park, the Greens out there are looking to work with some groups out there a little bit more, and have this out there. Here's Ethan. Ethan says RCV is currently using Maine, Alaska, and Australia, and Evanston. Wow.
That is true, Ethan. Thanks for saying that. But yeah, I think Maine was the last one to adopt it in America. And all of Australia? Okay. I mean, I heard it's present in Australia. I didn't know if it's the whole like federal level or what. In Alaska, yeah, because that's how Palin lost, and she like blamed it on ranked choice voting. She lost the primary or something because of that.
There's only still 2 people there.
Yeah,
there's only 2 people in the race.
Like 2/3 the size of the continental United States. There's like 6 people that live there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. In Evanston. Wow, yeah, absolutely. So you said the whole kit and caboodle. What exactly is a caboodle?
Caboodle is just a big campaign structure still.
Okay, good.
So yeah, we want canvassing. We want people going out farmers markets when it's nice out again. So it's a big effort on our part to go teach people, educate them, and a call to action to contact their legislators. I know it's already just the end of 2022, but we're already beginning to for 2023. It's right around the corner. And so I do want to talk about RCV alone won't really be productive in Illinois. And the reason for that is because it's still so hard for new parties and independents to get on the ballot, that even if we just had RCV, it still really won't.
You kind of need both of them together.
In our state, yes. Yeah. In other states, they have lowers, the independents and third parties, they have lower signature requirements than the established parties. But not, as you know, David, not here in Illinois, where our proportion sometimes is, to me, would seem outrageous. Yeah, I remember in 2020, pre-COVID, it was in Congressional District 1, it was 32 times. And so the Republican Party needed about 400, and a new party needed about 16,000.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if there's like at least an attempt at a reason behind that.
It's just deemed fair.
What's that?
It's deemed as fair. So.
Well, I mean, I want to hear their argument for why they think it's fair.
Well, it's out there.
Instead of well, I need to find it.
Yeah. Well, I have it somewhere, and I'm sure it's out on Basecamp, so I can just tag you on it.
Okay, that'd be cool, yeah, because I mean, people don't make these things up. They're not like, so we can keep all our power to ourselves. That wasn't their, argument to the people. It's, probably something else. Like, I'm wondering if it has something to do with like, well, instead of wasting people's times during elections, if you don't have enough people to represent, we're just not going to let you on the ballot, because it's not. That's democracy needs to function with more. The majority of the people is what makes a democracy move. So when you're like this much of the people, you don't count. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that, but not to the tune of 32 times more. Yeah, that's a car model and a real car.
Yeah, no, that's a ridiculous.
That's a proportion to me that is outrageous.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Yeah, no, and in 2000, yeah, when the thing first hit, when I was still a libertarian, I was running for libertarian for District 10, and at that time I think we needed something like 12,000 to get on the ballot as well. the Green Party of Illinois and the Libertarian Party of Illinois got together and sued the state and said, "Hey, you're not letting us," because at that time it had to be a physical signature. Another weird thing, but okay. But we were all in lockdown, so we couldn't go out. So we ended up going. It went from like 12,000 to like 1,200 is what I needed, and I still couldn't get it.
Yeah, it was still hard. We were able to get down to 10%. I got on the ballot that year, the first time I got on as a green, and I needed 300-ish, and I got that, but it was still really hard to get it electronically, believe it or not.
Yeah, we were all like, "Oh, easy peasy, we can just do
we're like, just click."
And I know radio shows and just growing. I mean, I know so many people across the country and every state and everything else. I think I got like 20 going through electronic. I'm like, seriously? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember it was it was a rainy day, and I just got on the phone and just started calling people from the database, and I got a few that way, but it was still not the same as in-person items. And yeah, so I was able to get on the ballot that year. And so just for a little bit of background on it, it was the non-established parties. We petition in Illinois after the established parties do traditionally after the primary, not this year, but traditionally after the primary. And so there was the lockdown, and then we were supposed to start collecting 50,000 signatures like a few days right after the lockdown we were supposed to begin. And so thankfully we had Oliver Hall from I believe it's the Center for Competitive Democracy. I'd have to get back on the name of his group that helped out with that. But yeah, he was able to help out in Illinois and get that COVID relief. And also it was appealed as well, from what I remember. And we won. It went on the appellate level to go back to the original signatures and original timeline and everything. And so they were able to help affirm that decision that we get COVID relief. And so that was, the one time we did, and it was good. And so one of the petitioning sessions that we had this time around was for me, for state representative in District 85, and I needed 1,500 minimum, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we had COVID in the house for some of that, so I didn't petition. Yeah, I'm not. When your kid comes home and COVID positive, you just stay put. So. It was hard. We almost got there. We got over 1,350 and we needed 1,500. So we were such an uphill battle, and we almost were able to ring that bell for freedom. But next time maybe we'll see what's in the cards for me. But it's hard to petition during COVID. And for me as a mom, I don't like all the germs that can be spread. And so to me, if I had a decision over it, I would try to maybe do the 10% again and just eliminate some of that community spreading, and eliminate that potential ringing doorbell to doorbell. So that's something that is a public safety that I would like to see here in Illinois, if possible, is a consideration. I mean, our governor did such a good job. To me, I mean, I know other people have their opinions, but to me, he did the right. I think he did the right thing, at least in the beginning. Was, hey, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what this is. Please just stay put for 3 weeks. Until we at least figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I got caught up on all my reading.
Yeah, you got caught up on your reading. I think I got caught up with laundry for about 5 seconds. So that was good.
Well, moms don't like germs around their kids. That's the thing. I delivered some pizzas to a daycare center the other day, and it was adorable. Like all these little children sitting around these things. But this one mom was like, with her little anti thing, spraying her hands, and just like obsessively. I'm like, okay, all right, well,
the children don't help though. They're still touching everything.
You still eat the pizza. So yeah.
So I would like to see some kind of, it's like the governor saying stay at home, and then our state board of elections is like, oh no, go out and collect 50,000 physical signatures. So I would just like the left hand to talk to the right hand and be on.
That'd be refreshing. What about like local campaigns, outreaches, not necessarily for a specific candidate, but just to get the news out there that like, okay, so when Matthew Ho did tell me, like when he was out like canvassing and stuff like that for his campaign, he said probably 90 to 95% of the people didn't even know the Green Party existed. That's a pretty high number. I remember when I was running for something, the ROC, remember that whole?
Yeah, the ROE, yeah.
ROE, thank you. I went to the county clerk's office to file for whatever, and the guy's like, I wrote down the Green Party as party affiliate. He's like, there's no such thing as Green Party. I'm like, I have a card that I'm a member of. I'm like, you ever heard of Ralph Nader? Like, I'm like, it's not like they're totally like off the screen here. I mean, we do have some notoriety. Jill Stein was all over the news when she was.
Yeah.
So, like Peter and I have like kind of tenuous plans. We still need to kind of hammer it down. Probably next spring and summer down in Galesburg to like actually just start passing out literature, and maybe I might just hold like lectures or something. I don't know. I tried last time I did that, nobody showed up. So maybe we'll see what happens there. But like just getting flyers out and information that the Green Party exists. Here's Sid Smith, who's a member of the Green Party out in West Virginia. He's the mathematician who analyzes like the collapses. So like brilliant man, just I love him. He's a Green Party member, and he pointed out that the Green Party, is, as far as we know, is the only party which actually has stated principles. The one, like, what is the Democratic Party's mission statement? They don't have one. It's go to war and make money, and probably the same thing with the Republicans. So but you can actually so that you can align your values with the party, because the party affiliation politics is about, at the end of the day, the perpetuation of specific values on a society. So that we can live better lives, we can live healthy lives, and that kind of thing. It's all about value. Values at the basis of every system, folks. And I have a master's in system science, so you need to listen to me. Okay, value. You always need to increase value when it comes to your own personal self, the groups you're involved in, societies, and the world at large. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, maybe we have some new people listening, so I can just run down the 10 key values that all Green members have.
Yeah, for sure.
All Green members in all 72 countries. So it's ecological wisdom, social justice, grassroots democracy, nonviolence, decentralization, community-based economics, feminism and gender equality, respect for diversity, personal and global responsibility, and future focus and sustainability. So we all agree these are our 10 key values.
Right.
Yeah. And I talked to somebody today, and they were still like, I like your 10 key values. I agree. I align with them. Like, thank you. It's kind of hard not to.
Yeah, I don't know which one you would be against. I mean, I guess I can see some. I'm thinking of some people I know as you're reading them, like I don't think that person would like that one.
But and that's fine. The respect for diversity. Everybody has their opinion. So, yeah. But if these 10 key values sing at anybody's hearts, definitely check them out. Become a Green Party member. We are a dues-paying organization. Besides being a political party. So it is nice that we get to have these principles, these values, and have so many people align with these values and work hard to go on the ballot to work towards a better government, a non-corporate government.
Yeah, for sure. A non-corporate government. I wonder how different our political system would look if we didn't have corporate.
We would have education. We'd have small businesses.
You already got to figure it out. Yeah, like that's
And
because
you
it's
have healthcare.
overrated. Such an underpinning of both parties is massive corporate donations. What's his face? Not Bernie Sanders, the libertarian, Rand Paul. Ron Paul, his dad, Ron Paul. When Ron Paul was still running, he like made $1 million in one day of campaign donations, and because he wouldn't take from, it was like a record breaking something or another. But he made a point of saying that he didn't take from corporations; these were all individuals. I know that Bernie Sanders doesn't take, won't allow it. I think, well, Jill Stein had to because she was a Green Party member. I feel like there's another one, like a big high-profile Democrat who doesn't take it. Anyway, like Liz Warren or something like that. Anyway, but also these politicians are also very wealthy in their own right. Remember, Bernie Sanders owns 3 houses, folks. Just so you know.
He also likes to fold his hands and sit on folding chairs.
Wait, was it like this?
And his handmade mittens.
Yeah, with his mittens. I like Bernie. Don't get me wrong. He's really done a lot for politics in America and removing the taboo in part to some degree of the word socialism. So not completely. I feel like people think that Trump riled up the nation, and I think he did. But I think Sanders kind of got under some people's butts too, under their fur a little bit, under their skin, and kind of because people all of a sudden like, what do you mean he's talking about? So he's a socialist? Oh my god! And they started freaking out, and then their Lord personal savior Donald Trump showed up. Anyway, all right, go ahead.
Well, to me, like socialism, people see it as a bad word, but you pass by your library, you're driving on that road, there's the school right there.
There's a clean water coming out of your tap.
Yeah. So
and there's also a multitude of different types of socialism. And I think I
Right.
mentioned this on the show before. People think of socialism as merely meaning the federal government controls everything. And that's not, I don't even know if that's consistent with the.
It's not even a government.
Okay.
It's not even a government.
The basis of socialism actually has to do with like the ownership of labor, of the laborers owning their own ownership. It's actually a labor-based thing.
Yeah.
But as far as like communities and societies, it's just about people cooperating instead of competing. To put it in the most general and vague sense. It may or may not include governments. It doesn't have to. There's anarchist socialism and no problem. All sorts of decentralization is one of our things, community-based economics. I love that. That was one of the, when I first read it, I was like, community-based economics, that's so perfect. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Have the money, stay in the community, work, being able to work where you live, being productive.
Each community should be like a Hobbitown from The Hobbit.
Oh, the Hobbit town.
The little shire. That's how I envision the world.
Yeah, but I've been talking a little bit about having for community-based economics, supporting small businesses in my town, and maybe possibly being able to take over. We have some empty stores, just like probably everybody else, and we just have some empty stores, and so I want to fill it with some small businesses. And you're not just buying from that person and just, oh, here's a little bit of money. You're putting food on that person's table. You're buying shoes for that person's children. You're helping you're helping your neighbor, you're helping yourself, you're helping your community. So to me it's a win-win-win all the way around. So I hope to work on that more in my community in 2023, because we need it. Everybody needs it, right? But it's something, it's a goal to have future focused, and to be able to help out in that measure would be great. And we are all leaders. Anybody can step up, and I know there's tons of groups out there. I also wanted to say that we have a lot of resources. We do have a lot of organizing resources, softwares and whatnots. So we can really help out with some community groups. If you need it, hey, we need a website. Hey, we need this. Hey, we need some phone banking. What can we do to help you? We have consensus decision-making process information we can send, we have bylaws, we have platforms, we have stuff that a community group can just take right now and take the ball and run. And what I love about the Green Party is, like, we're not here to say, hey, local, you have to do this. Hey, chapter, you have to do this. We love having our chapters autonomous. We love having the locals make their own decisions. So we can help with the decision-making process and give some resources available. But the nuts and bolts, I mean, it has to come from the people in that community. It can't come from anybody else because it won't be true.
Bottom-up authority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a huge. I mean, even Biden talked about that. He's not doing it, but I mean, he seemed to advocate for it, at least with himself. You know,
Didn't he also say a few other things like student debt, no fracking?
Yeah, no frack. Oh, that fracking thing. Ooh. Anyway,
Now is not the time. Now is not the time to be bothering Mother Earth.
we're just pissing her off more and more every day. You know, there is the Gaia hypothesis that the Earth is actually sentient in a specific sort of way, not like quite like I don't think it can do calculus or anything like that, or write a symphony, but it has its own way of like organically taking care of itself. So you really you up.
And we saw that in COVID. Remember, it was like Venice in Italy. They had cleaner waters. And they have some more animals actually enter. Was it India had some fresh air? They instead of smog. So
yeah, no, absolutely. The amount of pollution, you could see the radars from NASA, the satellite radars, were like over several months because nobody was driving.
Right.
Like you could see like the dissipation of the pollutants in the air. Absolutely. Now they're probably all back. I don't know. Right. I don't know, to be honest with you. But no, like things like that. The scientists have discovered microbes are actually adapting to eat plastic.
Oh.
Yeah. Because Mother Nature doesn't like plastic in her soil. She's like, well, okay. Well,
her oceans.
Or her oceans. She's like, well, okay, I'll just get rid of it. And I'll get rid of the people who make it if you don't knock it. So
yeah.
The Earth has no obligation to allow us to survive, just so you know.
Yeah.
There's literally no obligation whatsoever. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I am really concerned about our air and our water. These aren't things like bagels and Pop-Tarts. It's not something that we can do without a bagel. We can do without a Pop-Tart. We cannot do without air. We cannot do without water. And I don't want it to wait to be personable to people before they
go to turn on their faucet and there's no water, or it's like ridden with dirt and mud and oil and crap.
Right. Right. I want us to help.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was going to say I want us to help the communities with that decision-making process and be proactive in their measures and be future focused in a safe environment and be able to talk about it.
Right.
Without being criticized, without, we have plenty of water. It's not an issue for me today. I still have water, but will my children, when they're older, will my grandchildren? This is part of to me, like the future focus and sustainability, and also that personal responsibility. And we had talked about this, I think, on the Tennille Talks Politics with the personal responsibility and just how it is each one of our responsibility to take care of the earth. And without that, I think this is what we're getting. And how people always like, oh, well, somebody else should do it, or they should do it, It's like, no, you want a good future. You have to make sure that there's a good future. So if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Absolutely. And there are ways for each individual to participate in the solutions. 100% there are.
Right.
So yeah, don't be like, there's nothing I can do. No, there is. And I'm not saying that your one person's impact is not going to reverse everything. I'm not saying that, but you have to. It's like people who think that they're, because their vote doesn't count, like in this massive sort of effect, they don't vote, and that's everything counts. It's just, I understand that you're one of many. I get that, but you can't think like that, because then it would be okay for everybody else to think like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden nobody's doing anything. Does that make sense?
Right. That's why one person can make a change because of one and one and one, and you never know, you might get 1,000 people at a march. So that's how you get 1,000 people, is every single person comes out. It's personable to them to come out and make the time to show up and do something about the issue that's fairly important to them. So that's how, to me, each person can just kind of shut away this distraction, shut away from supporting the corporate parties, because even donating a small amount or knocking on doors, to me, that's still supporting. You're still supporting this close margin of passing the war budget. We need to break away from these two parties that are that voted very similar to on this military budget that was an immense, huge amount of money. So, and I always point out, people are saying, "Oh, there's not enough money." Well, let's talk about the defense budget.
Right, exactly.
Let's start there.
Again, I want to point out, like, I really think people consider like the government to be some sort of like non-personalized entity or something, that it has like this like magical authority over all these people. And it's run by people. That I think that's important, because individual people are the ones that are morally accountable for their behavior, and you don't get some sort of like magical exemption because you're a government official. Like that comes down to like allocation of rights and police activity and that kind of thing. Like our cop gets to like beat the hell out of you because the state said so. That's just stupid. Um, stuff like that. But you got to hold these people accountable, and you got to pay attention. I mean, one of the cool things about this country is the freedom of press. That was a brilliant move put into the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
I'm not talking. I mean, there's problems with mainstream media. There's no doubt. But the notion of a freedom of press. I mean, every day I'm looking up stuff, about policing in America and politics and so on. And it's always the press that's like getting in people's faces and figuring out what's going on and like exposing the truth to the people. It's fantastic. I just ordered a couple press passes from an organization online, so I think I'm going to start raising somehow. So, yeah, I'm excited about
it. Continue on your journey.
Continue on my journey. Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, no, it's just there's some opportunities for you as an individual to participate in the programs, the processes, the systems that we have established here. The American Constitution is by no stretch of the imagination a perfect governmental system. It is not. But it was probably the best leap forward in the history of mankind towards a democracy. And now we have like the Netherlands and Norway and all, like just kicking the crap out of us, when it comes to like individual rights and liberties and taking care of your society and that kind of thing. But it was a pretty huge step forward. No, the world didn't see anything like it until the Constitution, which is cool, even though the founding fathers were all weirdos. Sorry, I was just random. Oh, no, we got like 7 minutes left. Did you want to talk about something else? I wanted to ask you a question before we end.
Yeah, I'll talk about two things. Upcoming events. We have December 15th. We have a holiday party, party with the Green Party. It's a trivia night, and it's going to be a ballot access trivia night. So, yeah,
it's going to be about the issue.
It's gonna. It's
all questions are about ballot access.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not. I was like I'm pretty good at Trivial Pursuit. I thought maybe it was even more like art and history and sports and stuff. I don't know if I know about it. All right.
No. We did a trivia night a few years ago, and that was fun. So we decided to do.
Good. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I should be able to make it. But and what famous day in history is December 16th?
December 16th.
Actually, 3 famous days.
Oh, I'm not sure. Go ahead, give it a roll.
Beethoven's birthday. It is the date of the Boston Tea Party.
And
the first most rebellious act in history. It's my birthday as well.
Yay!
And I'll be delivering pizza, so it's not that big of a deal. But
well, I will be calling you. So,
yeah, no,
I don't sing very well, but I will still sing.
I think I can see that just listening to your voice. So that's cool. Yeah, no problem. All right, so I want to ask you something. This is a little bit off topic. I mean, it's about the Green Party, but it's something that came up recently, and I keep thinking about trying to recruit people to the Green Party, based on just reason and common sense, and that it's a good idea, a set of good ideologies, that kind of thing. there's and what something else that I said earlier about like socialism. It's a lot of the taboo of that word has gone away thanks to Bernie Sanders, but there's still plenty there to incite people to be defensive against it. Is the Green Party? We're a left-wing party, no doubt, and personally, I agree with socialism in certain ways. Not the government controlling everything like that. Would you say that the Green Party is a socialist party? Does it identify as that? Do you think the higher ups, if you will, from the national committee would say yes to that question, or do you think they would say it really just depends on the? I've met Green Party members who are like, no, I'm a capitalist.
I help small businesses, and small businesses is capitalism. It's not socialism. I consider myself as actually a conservative Green. So okay. I do differ from other people in the Greens in my thinking and in my opinions. I align with the 10 key values, but we also have the respect for diversity as well. And so I do know that we push like eco-socialism.
That's what eco-socialist is the official plank.
It's the official plank, and really what that is having the public utilities be public via eminent domain or whatnot. But to have the utilities owned by the employees, so it's an employee-owned utility. So that is something that is the official plank, is the eco-socialism. And socialism is just a ways for the means to get to the end. So it's not an official government form, it's just the ways to get from A to B. This is how we pull the money together to get our libraries, to get our schools, to get our roads fixed. But there are people who are in our general membership that are socialists. There are
some of them
are capitalists, but they're not
Marxists.
corporate. Yeah, they're not
anarchists.
They're not. Yeah, we have anarchists. I think there's some Republicans, some Democrats. So we have the diversity. That's
which
for
is
sure.
Nice. Which is one of the things I like about this party.
We
new perspectives.
Yeah, we definitely get all the perspectives. Yeah, that's fun, because you learn and you grow, and then we can formulate our decisions, and we can do the consensus decision-making process to see whether it's something that the group wants to, or doesn't want. And so it is nice that we do have that diversity in the Greens, and then we're just aligned by those 10 key values, very basic values, in my opinion. A lot of people read them and like them, and find themselves aligning with them, much like yourself and much like me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And there's a fabulous essay that was written by Becker Sid Smith, who was a member again he was on the show out in West Virginia. So you can just go to, I think, just Becker Sidney Smith, go to his website, you'll find it. It's about socialism and the Green Party. It's very well. The man's just an incredibly intelligent human being, very sagacious. He just comes across as that wise man. He's got the beard and everything. So I
didn't watch the show yet, but I want to.
Oh, he's fabulous!
I read his stuff.
It's heartbreaking because he gives you the science and the math, and math is immutable, folks. It doesn't change of the collapse of civilization. So you're listening to him, you're like, the name of his series is called "How to Enjoy the End of the World." He's like, because you're not going to stop it. So you might as well just have fun. But anyway, I'm not saying that he's right there. You need to keep fighting, even if it somehow isn't going to happen. You have to do what is right. You always have to do what is right. So, I don't know if it's dissuade anybody. Anyway, okay, so we got it's 30 seconds left here. Anyone want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I'll wrap this up. I do want to say 2024 candidates are starting to come in. So they are starting to step up, starting to kind of think about what they want to run for, if they want to run. So please.
Have we picked a presidential candidate yet?
I do not think so. I haven't heard anything about that yet.
Can I throw my hat in?
You can throw your hat in.
I have one.
You have one. You have a hat. Throw it in.
Okay.
People are welcome to step up. Again, we are all leaders. We're not going to get the healthcare, education, and other necessities like water and air with corporate dollars. We're going to be getting them from the power of the people.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't think you want me as a presidential. You haven't even seen my tattoos yet. Ann and I have known each other for almost 2 years, and we've never even met.
Never even met in person. We try.
I know, we talk all the time, and we chat. I was like, "You're a really good friend of mine," and blah blah blah. And like, I've never even been within a foot of you. So okay.
Maybe still for 2022. We'll talk about our schedule.
Yeah, for sure. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into the Illinois Green Party. I'm your host, David Rych, with our special guest, Anna Schiefelbein. Anna, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, very cool conversation as always. All right, we don't have anybody set up for next week, but I'm going to try for somebody very interesting and very cool, so stay tuned for that. Till next time, be good. Good night.